ago. I am just coming back from playing tennis. I am so fortunate that I do get every once in a while to just leave my home office and go play a little bit of tennis in between two appointments. I'm really fortunate. I'm so grateful that I can do that. And so I had a bit of time today, and I have another appointment in about 5 minutes. But I thought I would tell you a story about a candidate that I interviewed 2 days ago. He's applying for a night shift role, and it turns out that he has never worked a night shift before. So I'm generally skeptical when people have not ever worked a certain shift and are deciding to to try it out, especially when it is kind of an atypical shift. Not many people are really comfortable with living kind of against the grain. And when you work nights, you really are kind of living in your own little world. You're sleeping when other people are up. You are working when a whole lot of people are actually sleeping. And that's not easy. It's not easy, and it takes a special person to get used to that, and it takes a special person to feel comfortable enough to keep doing it for a long period of time. A lot of people can do it temporarily, but doing it for a long period of time, I'm talking about years, is a whole different story. So I do kind of dig, and I want to make sure that this individual is aware of that. And in digging, I find out that he has another kind of activity that he does on weekends that is something he loves, just like I love tennis. And he's been doing this for a number of years and loves it, doesn't want to give it up, and he needs to be, and so he wants to be really transparent about that. And I'm not quite understanding how this activity of his really factors in to the job that he's applying for right now, like why he needs to be telling me that. And so we talk a little bit more, and I ask him about a role that he was in for about 6 months that appears to have not worked out, and I ask him what happened there, and he explains that he was on probation for the first 6 months, and they did not decide to take him on full time, and that was due to the fact that his activity that he loves to do on weekends that can often start on Friday evening was in conflict with the evening shift that he was working. And so his boss just thought that it wasn't going to be viable, that he was not going to be able to do his job and also engage in that activity. And obviously, his boss realized that this gentleman prioritized the activity over his job. So therein lies the problem, in my opinion. I love tennis, but I'm certainly not going to ask an employer to accommodate my tennis matches, and he shouldn't be requiring that either. So we had a talk this morning because he called me back and said, I got the feeling that you weren't quite sure that I was going to be a good fit for this position based on the fact that I had that activity, and I wanted to tell you that it is not going to interfere, so you don't have to worry. And so I said, well, I'm going to offer you a bit of advice then. I'm going to ask you, why do you think you are bringing that up in an interview that has absolutely nothing to do with that activity? And he says, well, it's because I love it, and it's something I love to do, and I'd actually like to work in that eventually, but I can't, so, I don't want to let it go. And I said, that's great, but how does that relate to the position at hand? How does that help you to get this job that you're applying for? How is that working for you, bringing that up during interviews? And he said, well, he says, I've gotten refused for a few, and he says, I'm not sure what's going on, but I thought I would, because you raised the point a couple of times in the interview, I kind of felt that it was an issue. And I said, because it is an issue. I said, if you are asking me as a potential employer to accommodate you before I've even hired you, That's a red flag for me. It's concerning. He really does need to think about what the purpose is of bringing that up. And so I said to him, listen, if you are ever in an interview in that specific industry, the one that you are, all excited about, guess what? Then you can bring it up. Bring up the fact that you're passionate about it. Bring up the fact that you spend every single weekend actually doing it for little or no money. People are going to be impressed, and it's likely going to have an impact on you getting that type of job. Definitely, he needed to consider whether or not that had any value in the conversation, and it's not because you're excited about something that it's necessarily very pertinent or advantageous for you to even bring it up during the interview.